Did you know that people in certain cultures maintain strong, stable legs well into their 90s, while others struggle with weakness and mobility issues by their 70s? The difference often isn't genetics or activity level, it's whether they're eating foods that support muscle function or foods that quietly sabotage leg strength from the inside out. Have you ever felt frustrated that despite trying to eat healthy and stay active, your legs still feel weaker and less reliable than they should? Maybe you've noticed that certain foods seem to make you feel more sluggish or heavy in your legs, but you can't quite identify the pattern. The problem might be hiding in foods you eat regularly, thinking they're harmless or even beneficial. Here's what most people don't realize. After 60, your body becomes more sensitive to foods that create inflammation, interfere with nutrient absorption, or disrupt the biological processes that maintain muscle strength. Foods that might have been fine in your younger years now create problems that directly impact your leg muscles and mobility. In the next 20 minutes, I'll reveal the 5 common foods that could be secretly weakening your legs and exactly what they do to sabotage muscle function. These aren't obviously unhealthy foods, they're everyday items that most people consume regularly without realizing the impact on their strength and stability. And most importantly, I'll tell you about the one food category that seems innocent but creates the perfect storm for muscle loss. Foods that combine multiple leg-weakening factors in a convenient package that millions of seniors consume daily. But before we start, if you're here because you want to make sure every food choice supports your strength instead of undermining it, you're about to discover how dietary changes can transform your leg function. Quick legal note, this is educational content only, not medical advice. Always consult your healthcare provider before making significant dietary changes, especially if you have health conditions. You'll find the complete disclaimer in the description below. Now, let's explore why your legs might feel weaker despite your best efforts. Does this sound familiar? You try to maintain a healthy diet and stay reasonably active, but your legs still feel unreliable and weak. Maybe you've noticed that some days your legs feel heavier and more fatigued than others, but you can't connect it to any obvious cause. You might blame it on aging, weather, or just having an off day, but the real culprit could be sitting in your refrigerator or pantry right now. The challenge with food-related muscle weakness is that it develops gradually and the effects aren't immediately obvious. Unlike an injury or illness that creates sudden changes, food-induced muscle problems build up over time through inflammation, nutrient interference, and metabolic disruption that slowly undermines your muscle function. Here's what makes this particularly problematic after 60. Your body's ability to process and recover from inflammatory foods decreases significantly with age. Your digestive system becomes less efficient at neutralizing harmful compounds, your liver works harder to detoxify problem ingredients, and your muscles become more vulnerable to the inflammatory cascade that certain foods trigger. The symptoms often masquerade as normal aging. You might experience muscle stiffness that seems worse on some days than others. Your energy levels might fluctuate unpredictably, affecting your willingness and ability to stay active. Recovery from physical activity might take longer than it should, and your legs might feel heavy or sluggish even when you haven't done anything particularly demanding. But here's the insidious part about food-related muscle weakness. Your body adapts gradually to chronic inflammation and nutrient interference, so you might not realize how much better you could feel. You accept reduced function as inevitable when it's actually preventable and often reversible. Many of these problematic foods are marketed as normal parts of a healthy diet or are so common that people never question their effects. You might be consuming muscle-weakening foods multiple times per day, creating a constant state of low-grade inflammation and metabolic stress that prevents your muscles from functioning optimally. The good news is that when you identify and eliminate these food-based obstacles to muscle function, improvements can happen surprisingly quickly. Your body wants to maintain strong muscles, you just need to remove the dietary interference that's preventing optimal function. And here's what happens when you stop sabotaging your muscles with problematic foods. Inflammation levels decrease, allowing better nutrient utilization. Energy becomes more stable and predictable. Muscle recovery improves, and that heavy, sluggish feeling in your legs begins to lift as your body can finally function without constant dietary stress. Think of this as removing the hidden obstacles that have been working against your muscle health, allowing your body's natural strength, maintaining systems to work effectively. But identifying the specific foods that weaken leg muscles requires understanding how they interfere with muscle function. Many people over 60 enjoy a glass of wine with dinner or a cocktail in the evening, considering it a harmless way to relax and socialize. But if you've noticed that your legs feel weaker, less coordinated, or more prone to fatigue, your evening drink might be contributing to muscle problems in ways you never suspected. The first food that could be secretly weakening your legs is alcohol in any form: wine, beer, spirits, or mixed drinks. While moderate alcohol consumption is often promoted as heart-healthy, the effects on muscle function, especially in people over 60, tell a different story. Here's the muscle destruction that alcohol creates in your body. Alcohol interferes with protein synthesis, the process your muscles use to repair and rebuild themselves. Even small amounts can reduce muscle protein synthesis by up to 30% for several hours after consumption. This means that the muscle repair work your body should be doing overnight is severely compromised when you have alcohol in your system. But the damage goes deeper than just repair interference. Alcohol depletes your body of key nutrients that muscles need for proper function, including B vitamins, magnesium, and zinc. It also interferes with sleep quality, preventing your body from entering the deep sleep phases when the most important muscle recovery and growth hormone release occur. After age 60, your body becomes less efficient at processing alcohol, meaning these negative effects last longer and are more pronounced than they would have been in your younger years. What might have been a minor interference at 40 becomes a significant obstacle to muscle maintenance at 65. The dehydration that alcohol causes is particularly problematic for muscle function. Your muscles are about 75% water, and even mild dehydration can reduce strength and increase fatigue. Alcohol acts as a diuretic, depleting not just water, but also the electrolytes that muscles need for proper contraction and coordination. Chronic alcohol consumption, even at moderate levels, can lead to a condition called alcoholic myopathy, a gradual weakening of skeletal muscles that particularly affects the legs and makes walking, standing, and climbing stairs more difficult. And here's what happens when you reduce or eliminate alcohol consumption. Muscle protein synthesis returns to normal levels, allowing proper overnight recovery. Sleep quality improves dramatically, providing the deep rest phases needed for muscle repair. Hydration status improves, supporting better muscle function and energy levels. The transformation many people notice is improved muscle endurance and less fatigue during daily activities. That heavy, tired feeling in the legs, especially later in the day, often diminishes significantly when alcohol is removed from the equation. If you choose to consume alcohol, limiting it to no more than one drink, consumed earlier in the evening and with food, minimizes the muscle weakening effects. But for optimal leg strength and function, reducing alcohol consumption provides clear benefits. Think of alcohol as a substance that directly interferes with your body's nightly muscle maintenance program, preventing the repair work that keeps your legs strong and functional. But alcohol isn't the only seemingly harmless food that can weaken your muscles. The second food that could be weakening your legs is one that many people turn to for a quick energy boost or afternoon treat. Milk chocolate seems innocent enough, it's just candy after all, but for people over 60, it creates a perfect storm of inflammation, blood sugar disruption, and nutrient interference that can significantly impact muscle function. Here's the muscle-weakening cascade that milk chocolate triggers in your body. The combination of high sugar, inflammatory dairy proteins, and processed fats creates systemic inflammation that particularly affects muscle tissue. This inflammation interferes with muscle protein synthesis and makes it harder for your muscles to repair and maintain themselves. The sugar spike from milk chocolate is followed by a dramatic crash that leaves your muscles struggling with inconsistent energy supply. Your leg muscles, which are among the largest in your body and have high energy demands, are particularly affected by these blood sugar roller coasters. During the crash phase, muscle weakness and fatigue become pronounced. But here's what makes milk chocolate particularly problematic for seniors. The dairy proteins in milk chocolate can trigger inflammatory responses that become more pronounced with age. Many people over 60 develop increased sensitivity to dairy proteins without realizing it, leading to chronic, low-grade inflammation that affects muscle function and recovery. The processed ingredients in milk chocolate also deplete your body of nutrients needed for muscle function. The high sugar content requires B vitamins and magnesium for processing, pulling these muscle-supporting nutrients away from their intended functions. Meanwhile, the artificial ingredients and preservatives can interfere with nutrient absorption in your digestive system. Regular consumption of milk chocolate can contribute to insulin resistance, making it harder for your muscles to efficiently use glucose for energy. This leaves your leg muscles struggling with energy shortages that manifest as weakness, early fatigue during activities, and poor recovery after physical effort. The inflammatory oils often used in chocolate processing, like soybean or palm oil, add another layer of muscle-damaging inflammation that can persist for hours after consumption, affecting muscle function long after the chocolate is gone. And here's what happens when you eliminate milk chocolate from your diet. Inflammation levels decrease, allowing better muscle recovery. Blood sugar becomes more stable, providing consistent energy to your leg muscles. The inflammatory burden on your system decreases, freeing up resources for muscle maintenance and function. Many people notice improved energy stability throughout the day and less of that afternoon muscle fatigue when they stop consuming milk chocolate regularly. The cravings for sugar that often drive more poor food choices also diminish. If you crave chocolate, small amounts of dark chocolate with at least 70% cacao provide antioxidants without the inflammatory dairy and excessive sugar that weaken muscles. Think of milk chocolate as a treat that provides temporary pleasure but creates lasting interference with the biological processes your muscles need to stay strong and functional. But sugary treats aren't the only processed foods that can sabotage muscle function. Before I reveal the remaining muscle-weakening foods, here's something for those of you who've watched this far: the biological reason why these seemingly harmless foods become so much more problematic for muscle function after 60. It's called inflammaging, the natural increase in baseline inflammation that occurs as we age. Your younger body could handle occasional inflammatory foods because your anti-inflammatory systems were robust enough to clean up the damage quickly and efficiently. But after 60, your body's anti-inflammatory capacity decreases while your sensitivity to inflammatory triggers increases. This means foods that caused minor, temporary inflammation in your 40s now create chronic, persistent inflammation that accumulates over time and directly interferes with muscle function. This is why many seniors notice that foods they used to eat without problems now seem to affect their energy, muscle function, and overall well-being. Your body isn't broken, it's just operating with different capabilities and sensitivities that require more strategic food choices. The muscle weakness that results isn't just about the direct effects of these foods. Chronic inflammation from diet creates a state where your muscles can't efficiently use protein for repair, can't access energy effectively, and struggle with the recovery processes that maintain strength and function. Understanding inflammaging helps explain why eliminating these foods often produces benefits that seem out of proportion to the changes made. You're not just avoiding harmful foods, you're reducing the inflammatory burden that has been preventing your muscles from functioning optimally. Now, let me reveal the processed foods that create the most muscle-damaging inflammation. The third and fourth foods that could be weakening your legs work together to create what I call a toxic double threat to muscle function. Canned foods and processed meats might seem like convenient protein-rich options, but they deliver a combination of inflammation, toxins, and nutrient interference that can significantly impact leg strength and mobility. Let's start with canned foods and their hidden muscle dangers. The BPA, bisphenol A, lining in many cans, acts as an endocrine disruptor, interfering with hormone signaling that's crucial for muscle maintenance. After age 60, your hormone levels are already declining, and BPA exposure compounds this problem by disrupting the remaining hormone function your muscles depend on. But BPA isn't the only problem with canned foods. The high sodium content creates inflammation and interferes with the mineral balance your muscles need for proper contraction and relaxation. Many canned foods also contain preservatives that can trigger inflammatory responses, particularly in seniors whose detoxification systems are less efficient. Processed meats present an even more serious threat to muscle function. The nitrates and nitrites used for preservation convert to nitrosamines in your body, compounds that create oxidative stress and inflammation throughout your muscle tissue. These preservatives also interfere with mitochondrial function, reducing your muscles' ability to generate energy efficiently. The excessive sodium in processed meats doesn't just cause temporary bloating, it disrupts the delicate electrolyte balance your muscles need for optimal function. This can lead to muscle cramps, weakness, and poor coordination that affects your ability to move confidently and safely. Advanced glycation end products, AGEs, formed during the processing of these meats, create inflammatory compounds that accumulate in muscle tissue over time, contributing to stiffness, reduced flexibility, and impaired muscle function. The combination effect is particularly devastating. Canned foods disrupt your hormone environment, while processed meats flood your system with inflammatory compounds and interfere with cellular energy production. Together, they create a perfect storm for muscle weakness and dysfunction. And here's what happens when you eliminate these processed foods. Inflammation levels drop significantly, allowing better muscle recovery and function. Hormone signaling improves, supporting muscle maintenance. Energy production becomes more efficient as cellular function improves without toxic interference. Many people notice reduced muscle stiffness, better energy levels, and improved strength when they replace canned and processed foods with fresh alternatives. The change is often dramatic enough to be noticeable within weeks. The solution is choosing fresh or frozen vegetables instead of canned versions and replacing processed meats with fresh fish, poultry, or plant-based proteins that support rather than sabotage muscle function. But there's one more category of foods that combines all the worst muscle-weakening elements. The fifth category of foods that could be secretly weakening your legs combines all the muscle-damaging elements we've discussed into convenient packages that millions of seniors consume daily. Packaged snacks, including crackers, chips, cookies, granola bars, and similar processed foods, create the perfect storm for muscle weakness through multiple mechanisms working simultaneously. Here's the comprehensive muscle destruction that packaged snacks create. They combine inflammatory oils, excessive sugar, artificial preservatives, and processed ingredients in ratios designed for taste and shelf life rather than human health. This combination triggers systemic inflammation while simultaneously depleting the nutrients your muscles need for proper function. The trans fats and inflammatory oils used in most packaged snacks interfere with cell membrane function throughout your body, making it harder for muscle cells to communicate effectively and utilize nutrients. The high glycemic ingredients cause blood sugar spikes and crashes that leave your muscles struggling with inconsistent energy supply. But the preservatives and artificial ingredients create additional problems specific to seniors. Your liver's ability to detoxify these compounds decreases with age, allowing them to accumulate and create persistent inflammatory stress that particularly affects muscle tissue and recovery processes. Now, here's what to eat instead for strong legs. Focus on whole foods that naturally support muscle function. Lean proteins like fish, poultry, eggs, and legumes provide the amino acids your muscles need without inflammatory additives. Include these at every meal to maintain steady amino acid availability for muscle maintenance. Add anti-inflammatory foods that support muscle function. Berries, leafy greens, nuts, and seeds provide antioxidants that help your muscles recover from exercise and daily activities. These whole food sources provide nutrients in balanced ratios that work synergistically. Choose complex carbohydrates that provide steady energy. Sweet potatoes, quinoa, and oats supply glucose to your muscles without the dramatic spikes and crashes that weaken muscle function. These foods also provide fiber that supports the gut health necessary for optimal nutrient absorption. Include healthy fats that support muscle function. Olive oil, avocados, and fatty fish provide the fats your muscles need for membrane function and hormone production without the inflammatory burden of processed alternatives. And here's what this muscle-supporting nutrition feels like. Your energy levels become more stable and predictable. Muscle recovery improves, reducing that heavy, tired feeling in your legs. Strength and endurance for daily activities improve as your muscles receive consistent, high-quality fuel without inflammatory interference. The key is viewing food as either supporting or sabotaging your muscle function, making choices that work with your aging body's needs rather than against them. Think of this as providing your muscles with premium fuel and materials while eliminating the contaminants that prevent optimal function. So there you have it, the 5 common foods that could be secretly weakening your legs. Alcohol that sabotages muscle recovery. Milk chocolate that triggers inflammation and energy crashes. Canned foods with hormone-disrupting toxins. Processed meats loaded with inflammatory preservatives. And packaged snacks that combine all these muscle-damaging factors. The empowering news? You have complete control over these food choices, and your muscles can begin to recover when you stop sabotaging them with problematic foods. Now, I have a mission for you. To make this change real, write in the comments which of these 5 foods you consume most often and are willing to reduce or eliminate first. Is it the evening wine, the afternoon chocolate, the convenient canned or processed foods? By publicly committing to one change, you're taking the first step towards stronger legs. Let's see those commitments. And if someone's comment motivates you or gives you a practical tip for making these dietary changes, please take a moment to thank them. Supporting each other makes these healthy transitions so much more achievable. Finally, our mission here is to help people make food choices that support rather than sabotage their strength. Every like helps this video reach more seniors who might be unknowingly weakening their muscles through their daily food choices. And if you thought of any specific person while watching this, someone who struggles with leg weakness but consumes these muscle-sabotaging foods regularly, share this video directly with them. You could help them transform their diet from muscle weakening to muscle supporting